Good morning, everyone. It is Mo in the deep end and Fry in the nap time. It is Friday. We have made it through another week. We have all survived, and that sometimes is a miracle in and of itself. Thank you all for getting me to 500. And now I would like to humbly ask you to help my friend Sal and EU get to 500 and 1,000 respectively. They have all been amazing. They both have been amazing help and hype men for me. So I would love to help them now reach their goals to get monetized. And they have been such wonderful helpers to me. So I think that it is amazing how this circle and community helps each other instead of kind of all the yucky backstabbing that you see online. So good morning, Eris, and this way up, and Wicked Wookie. Sorry. And, Kim and Christine, and Christine, I hope that we can help you get subscribers. I haven't seen many of your videos. I'm sorry, I have been very, very busy, but I have looked and you are doing a great job too, and you will get there too. And let's see, I think I said hi to everyone, but it is again a Friday, and my ADHD might be on 712 today. It may be. It is a rainy, yucky day, but Mr. Mo has said we might break open the fireplace, which I am a fan of. Look, you may be of a certain age when you're like, "Wait, we can turn on the fireplace?" And you get all excited. You may be an adult. In our first story of this Friday, a man posed as a mannequin in a shop window to steal jewelries after hours, Polish police say a man who is posing as a mannequin has been arrested according to Warsaw police. Police accused him of pretending to be a mannequin to remain unnoticed and swipe jewelry after hours. He has been charged with theft and burglary and faces a potential prison sentence of up to 10 years. A 22-year-old man in Warsaw has been arrested after posing as a mannequin to dodge security cameras at a shopping mall, police said in a Wednesday statement. Authorities did not disclose when the arrest or incident occurred. The unnamed suspect waited until the mall closed to steal jewelry from a stand, according to police. The suspect remained motionless until he believed it was safe, then proceeded to roam through different departments in the mall, per the statement. You know, he had a plan. I mean, it wasn't a great plan, but he did have a plan. I will suggest that to her. He did have a plan. It wasn't a great plan, but at least he had a plan. Authorities released an image of a man standing still in front of a shop window while holding a bag. The 22-year-old has also been accused of separate incidences of pilfering food from a bar and swiping designer clothes from the mall on a different day. He was spotted on camera sneaking under designer clothing stores partially opened shutter. Well, they got a nice behind shot of him. "Hey, Ma, could you possibly not look at my behind shot? I'd rather you put the mug shot in the Christmas card this year." He's been charged with theft and burglary and faces a potential prison sentence of up to 10 years. Authorities said the man previously committed thefts at another mall where he waited after closing time to take money from cash registers. Well, this time he decided to switch the idea and pretend to be a mannequin. So he's at least changed his MO. So in the grand scheme of things, I mean, he really did change his Pinky and the Brain thing. At least he changed his MO a little bit. He didn't he wasn't going to be the sticky bandits anymore. He was going to be the wet bandits. In 2016, two thieves blended in with store mannequins and waited until after the store closed before stealing designer clothing worth £10,000 or about 1,200 or $12,000 in today's exchange rate in West Sussex, England, the Sun reported. And in 2012, Rome police arrested a trio of men who attempted to pass themselves off as mannequins in a designer clothing store after the break-in was heard and reported by a neighbor per The Guardian. Warsaw police did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the insider and sent outside of regular business hours. Yeah, no, he is not impressed. Hey, Sal. Good morning. So, note to self, if one is attempting to be a mannequin, it might not work. But, people have apparently attempted many mannequin thefts over the years. This is not an original thought. If you are sitting at home thinking you might be the first to have a mannequin caper, you are wrong. Do not try at home. In other news, a polygamous US Navy vet. I feel like there's going to be a Disney show about this. Except for this last part of the sentence. With top secret clearance caught running guns to Niger. A polygamous Navy veteran with top secret clearance was investigated by federal authorities for allegedly running guns to West Africa, according to Department of Homeland Security search warrant affidavit obtained by the Daily Beast. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Adweli. Oh, this is not a okay. This particular individual is a naturalized citizen from Nigeria who served as a CB until May 2016, was arrested the following year in Niger, Nigeria's northern neighbor, while, quote, attempting to smuggle one Sterling Springfield SAR XV AR-15 rifle with ACOG optic as well as Glock 19 Generation 9mm pistol in his luggage, the affidavit states. Look, y'all, I have no idea. That's why I highlighted it. We are guessing here. After leaving the military, Otoro established a logistics and procurement company called El Sahel Global Services International Limited, which operated primarily on the African continent, according to the affidavit. It says Otoro put down roots in America and did contract work as a linguist for the Navy, but maintained a secret second life overseas. Good morning, Broken Baker. They are. I guess. I I did not skip over the polygamy bit. I believe it's going to go over it, I would hope. I have just skipped over his name bit, which I can't say and don't wanna commit an accidental ism or ist of any kind. According to regional security officer at the American Embassy in Niger, Otoro is currently married to two women and has two children with one of them, the affidavit said. One resides in his residence in Ashburn, Virginia, and the second wife resides in Nigeria. Arturo told his wife, who resides in Ashburn, that he would, quote, never return to the U.S., according to an interview that RSO conducted with consular office at the American Embassy in Niger. Reached by telephone on Thursday, Arturo told the Daily Beast that, quote, it was a trumped up charge they put against me. Quote, some people between the U.S. Embassy and the local authorities found it necessary to get me expelled out of Niger, which they successfully did, he said. Otero was never charged with the crime, according to court records. When he was arrested at the airport in Niamey, Niger, in August 2nd, 2017, Arturo was with late Nigerian diplomat Mohammed Pendanu, who had flown over with him, according to the affidavit. Arturo had not declared the two firearms he had with him, nor had he obtained export licenses, a requirement on the U.S. side. Upon arrival, Arturo and Pendahu headed for the VIP arrivals buildings where passengers, quote, generally do not get flagged for inspection, the affidavit explains. The two men claimed that they met for the first time on the flight, according to the affidavit, but Arturo had paid for Pendanu's business class ticket, and the diplomat had listed, okay, I'm guessing Arturo's home address on his entry papers. The authorities were interested in Arturo at this point for not smuggling guns, but narcotics, and had flagged his name due to, quote, flight patterns and finances matching targeted profile of a suspected smuggler, the affidavit states. He had also allegedly claimed on customs forms that he was a U.S. military captain and listed his local address as the U.S. Embassy in Namimi. I am not. When cops searched Arturo's bag and found the weapons, he was detained and questioned by the regional security officer assigned to the U.S. Embassy. Arturo claimed he had flown to the U.S. for a vacation to visit his family and was bringing the firearms back to Nigeria for protection, according to the affidavit. He insisted he had filled out all necessary paperwork, but Arturo's U.S. family was in Nigeria at the time, claiming to be visiting him there, rendering his explanation for the trip to Virginia highly suspect. The affidavit continues. A search of Artero's home in Niger turned up two fully loaded 30-round 5.56 magazines, quote, which he is suspected of stealing from the U.S. military, the affidavit goes on. Arturo claimed to the RSO that he used to arrange for the range access for Special Forces soldiers, and he simply forgot to return the two magazines that had been left behind one day by soldiers. Look, it wasn't his fault. Oopsie doopsie. They got left behind, as you do, when you're working with the Delta Force. You know, those guys are notorious. Say it 556. Gotcha. Thank you, Wicked Wookie. As you do, those Delta Forces always leaving those things behind, cotton candy, booger sugar, magazines, different things, K-bar knives, all the times. No, they don't. Are you insane? Quote, this claim conflicts with the fact that he is still in regular contact with the U.S. personnel or U.S. military personnel, the affidavit said. The receipts Arturo had for the guns also appeared to be bogus, which, the affidavit said, quote, was indicative of Arturo trying to resell firearms overseas for a profit. On Thursday, Arturo disputed the versions of events with the affidavit, telling the Daily Beast that he had properly checked in all the weapons before flying to Nigeria from Dulles International. The RSO was out to get him, Arturo claimed, for reasons he wouldn't disclose, like maybe having two wives. They just fell into his bag. I mean, maybe his Virginia wife just, she shoved them in there with the fake stuff. Yeah, I don't think so. This has a lot of, oh gosh, Darren Rubin Lopez things, like, I was totally a special forces guy, you have no idea. I was you know, totally doing all of that. Uh, Arturo was taken to a jail cell at the police quarter headquarters in Namimi, where he was held pending removal from Niger. On September 7th, 2017, U.S. authorities in Niger interviewed one of Arturo's two wives. Oh, they met each other. How special. I'm sure that's a great idea. Who traveled to the country 3 months earlier from Virginia, the affidavit said. The RSO told her that another woman had gone to see Arturo in jail, and she also claimed to be married to the man she was calling her husband. Oh, to be a fly on the wall at that office. Oh my gosh. I would love to have been a fly on the wall. Like, "Oh, hi, your husband is here. Also, there's another woman that's visiting him right now that claims to be his wife. Would you like to see him now?" Oh my god, I would be in so much I would be such a poo stirrer. I'm a terrible person. The RSO told her another woman had gone to see Otero in jail and that she also claimed to be married to the man she was calling her husband. Arturo's U.S. wife replied that she always suspected that Arturo was having an extramarital affair, but couldn't believe that he would potentially marry another individual, the affidavit said. She said Arturo is a Christian and that polygamy is not acceptable. Arturo's U.S. wife stated that she wanted to return with her two children to the United States, but that she has no money. Arturo's wife claimed not to know Pendanu, but said he is, quote, "very well connected," according to the affidavit. She said that Arturo's, quote, "life is in Niger now," and that he spent most of his time there. Arturo was subsequently sent back to the US and barred from returning to Niger. Today, he lives in North Carolina, he told the Daily Beast, referring on Thursday to his US wife as his ex wife. Can't imagine why. Have a good day at court. If I didn't have to, pick up the kids later, I would definitely, maybe I do have to pick up children. I will tell you about my haul because there was some clearance. They must be, redoing the booze section in Kroger so that as is my superpower, I found all the clearance booze. And for someone that doesn't drink that much, I always buy it. It's weird. Let's see here. I have a lot of inconvenience traveling through the airport anytime I travel now, he said, but I'm back and doing my stuff here. Otero claimed Niger's interior minister turned president, Mohamed Bazoum, is a close connection of his and claimed he was the one who signed off on the permits to bring the guns into the country. Bazoum assumed the presidency in 2001, but was ousted by the Nigerian military in August. Quote, "The guys who took over the government are military people I worked with in the past," Arturo said. Quote, "They are ready to make a way for me to come back. Whether he eventually sets up again in Niger or stays put in the US is yet to be seen. And while the incident that got him barred from Niger is still affecting Arturo's life, he has managed to move on. Quote, "It's in the past," Arturo said. "I'm in a better place today. One wife down, one wife still." Does he still have the Nigerian wife? We never got closure on that. I don't know. We will have to find out. And now that we're talking about Darren Rupin Lopez, we have a little segue here, and I hope you're here, Baker, for it, because stranded on the Eiffel Tower, a couple decided to get married. Oh, if only Darren and Jennifer had been there and, teenaged them and had gotten married, then we could have had a romance for the ages, them in the rainforest of Germany. I think he just meant the forest of Germany, but no. Stranded on the Eiffel Tower, a couple decide to wed with an AP reporter there to tell the story. Yeah, I don't know if they went to the German rainforest. I don't know why they were stranded up there, but we shall see. The story shall reveal itself as I read. Good morning, Charlotte. Uh, Police arrested a man climbing Thursday on the Eiffel Tower, leading to visitors being temporarily stranded at the summit, including a reporter for the Associated Press and a Washington, D.C. couple who decided during the wait to get married. Amir Khan had been planning to propose to Kat Warren later Thursday in a Paris garden away from crowds, with a romantic dinner on the River Seine also on the menu. But when the lifts were temporarily shut down because of the climber stranding the couple and others at top, Khan decided to spring his surprise. Pat Eaton Robb, an AP journalist from Connecticut who was also stuck up there, got their story. Quote, I figured we might be there longer than I imagined, Khan told the AP reporter, so I didn't want to miss dinner. And she always wanted to be proposed to on or under the Eiffel Tower. So I figured this is it. This is the moment. And the answer, yes, of course. He had a pretty good chance of me saying yes all along, Warren said, laughing. Besides, when when trapped at the top of a 1,083-foot or 330-meter tower, how can anyone say no? That happened, quote, "Someone else would be climbing the Eiffel Tower today, possibly," she joked. The climber was found between the tower's second and third floors, said Alice Benbardou, communications director for the Paris landmark. A specialist team of climbing firefighters led the man down and police arrested him, she said. Uh, Alice said she had been subsequently informed that the man was carrying a banner about American singer-songwriter Billie Eilish. What the actual crud? This man climbed the Eiffel Tower for Billie Eilish? For the love of all that is holy, I cannot. Quote, "I think it was Free Billie Eilish," she said, "but I'm not certain of it at this moment. But on the face of it, I think that was the message." AP's Eaton Robb and his wife, Kathleen, had a misadventurous weekend along to visit with Paris. Well, they aren't getting married. I mean, they didn't get married, they proposed. Okay. Well, that's really sweet, and I hope their marriage lasts, and I can't believe a dude climbed the Eiffel Tower even a little bit for Billie Eilish. Some people, I can't. Well, I mean, it's true love, I guess. I don't know about the Billie Eilish part, but hopefully that man is getting all the therapy he needs. CVS pulls popular cold medicines from store shelves. So I hope you all have been stocking up on nasal decongestants since CVS has started to pull them. CVS on Thursday had said that it is voluntarily removing certain common oral cough and cold products after the Food and Drug Administration (FDA) advisory panel determined last month that its active ingredient doesn't work. Quote, "We are voluntarily removing certain oral cough and cold products that contain phenylphenurine." Look, this, since I can't read or pronounce stuff, I don't talk good. As the only active ingredient from CVS Pharmacy stores, a CVS spokesperson said, other oral cough and cold products will continue to be offered to meet customer needs. We are aware of the FDA Advisory Committee's position on oral FE. So PE is usually the kind of shortened name on it, and will follow direction from the FDA to ensure products we sell comply with all laws and regulations, the spokesperson continued. The move comes just a month after 16 members of the FDA's Non-Prescription Drugs Advisory Committee, NDAC, agreed that oral phenylphenamine, look, that thing, found in common versions of Sudafed, Mucinex, Vicks, Allegra, Dayquil, isn't effective in offering relief from nasal congestion. The FDA clarified that neither the agency nor the committee raised concern about safety issues with the use of oral that at the recommended dose. The committee's purpose is to provide independent advice and recommendations to the FDA, but the government agency makes the final decisions. Although the FDA hasn't made a decision regarding the product's effectiveness, CVS decided to pull the products. Look, oral, whatever the hell this name is. It's a Friday. I didn't push Google Translator smartness reading. Walgreens spokesperson told Fox Business that it is, quote, closely monitoring the situation and actively partnering with Walgreens office clinical integrity and suppliers on appropriate next steps. Representatives for Rite Aid haven't immediately responded because they're going belly up. So, I mean, why do they need to respond? Listen, y'all, it's about to be cold and flu season. Look, I don't make suggestions. But if you are in a large behind family like I am, we have already done stocked up on Dayquil and NyQuil, okay? Because it is okay, great value, Dayquil and NyQuil and Mucinex. We aren't buying the real stuff. I would have to check that out. Are we devolving into, a our previously wonderful hand job levels of professionalism? It's a Friday, I'll allow it. They might be, they really might be, and, as soon as the FDA starts making any noises that they may or may not approve something, it's pretty much it's pretty much a safe bet that most companies will go ahead and comply with, even the appearance of looking like they're going to follow it. In odd news, an au pair is charged in a mysterious Virginia double murder. In February, 23-year-old Juliana Perez, oh gosh, why do y'all have to have Magalhaes, called 911 twice to report a harrowing scene, a double homicide inside a Virginia home where she was an au pair. On Thursday, after a 7-month investigation and a alleged false confession, Fairfax County police have pinned at least one of the deaths on the at-home nanny. I love it, though, that's the problem, I'm okay with it. Because did y'all see me on the press conference with a man that nothing matched anything except his scrunchie? I could not maintain my composure or professionalism. Perez Magalhaes of Renton, Virginia, was charged with second-degree murder in connection with the February 24th murder of 39-year-old Joseph Ryan. The Fairfax County Police Department said that Christine Ann Banfield, a 37-year-old mother who employed Magalhaes, was also found fatally stabbed in the upstairs bedroom. Ryan did not live at the Banfield's Harridan house where the murders occurred, but police state that there are no signs of forced entry. Authorities said that at the time that Perez Magalhaes, who lived at the home, and the Banfield's husband both called 911 the morning of the murders. Initially, authorities said Banfield's husband told the dispatcher that he shot Ryan, who he also accused of stabbing his wife. Bansfield's then 4-year-old daughter was at the home at the time of the murders, but was not physically harmed. Quote, "The truest victim of all is that poor girl," Fairfax Police Chief Kevin Davies said in February. Perez Magalhaes, who is also facing a felony use of firearm count, has not been charged in connection with Banfield's death and is being held at the Adult Detention Center with no bond. Her previous criminal history in Virginia consists of 2 misdemeanor driving charges. Banfield's husband and her defense lawyer did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The arrest marks the latest development in the 7-month investigation into the horrific early morning murder in a quiet residential neighborhood. The authorities say that just after 8 a.m., officers arrived at the home after Perez Magalhaes called 911 and hung up. About 13 minutes later, police say both Perez Magalhaes and Banfield's husband were on the line. Perez Magalhaes at the time told authorities that her, quote, friend was hurt before Banfield's husband got on the line and stated he had shot an unknown man who entered his home and stabbed a woman, not his wife. This is all sort of weirdness, police said in February. When officers arrived at the quote, appalling scene, they found Ryan dead from multiple gunshot wounds to his upper body. Banfield was found upstairs with stab wounds and taken to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Quote, there was no forced entry whatsoever. This was not a home invasion, Davis said in February about Ryan. Quote, I don't know exactly what the nature of his presence in the home is all about just yet, but we're working hard to determine that. Quote, we don't think he's necessarily a stranger, he added. Authorities have yet to provide details as to why they believe Perez Magalhaes shot Ryan, only stating that the conclusion came after multiple interviews and reviewing forensic evidence. The investigation into who fatally stabbed Banfield, a nurse, is still ongoing. This is a whole lot of probably a cray-cray love triangle. Let's be honest. We are gonna find that someone was doing a whole lot of something with someone else while someone was not home. Quote, we have recovered all weapons. We have identified all persons involved in this case. First Lieutenant Aaron Weeks said on Thursday, according to WTOP, quote, we are keeping all options open. Our big thing is to continue to interview people, continuing to review all digital and forensic evidence, and to learn how Christine Banfield was fatally stabbed. Well, yeah, that would I hope it would be the point. I hope. At some point, I would hope you find out how the woman was stabbed. Maybe. In good news, breakthrough in recycling EV batteries can recover 100% of the aluminum and 98% of the lithium thanks to Swedish scientists. So maybe we won't have to like strip mine the earth if we want to actually use these hybrid cars, which I'm not so sold on. Swedish researchers say they have developed a new method of recycling batteries from electric vehicles that allows recovery of 100% of the aluminum and 98% of the lithium. Because what happens to these batteries is if they go bad or something, they have to basically bury them under the earth and they're toxic. And it's almost worse for the earth if you look into it, or at least what I've read. And I don't know everything. And oh my goodness, I'm just a redhead who talks on the internet. Do your own research. I'm just telling you what I've read. Researchers at Chalmers University of Technology have presented the efficient way to recycle metals from spent batteries and at the same time minimize the loss of valuable raw materials such as nickel, cobalt, and manganese. Well, that's good. That too. Uh, Furthermore, no expense or harmful chemicals are required in the process because researchers use olaxic acid, an organic acid that can be found in the plant kingdom. Quote, so far, no one has managed to find exactly the right conditions for separating this much lithium using olaxic acid whilst removing all the aluminum, said Leigh Roquette, PhD student in the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering. Since all batteries contain aluminum, we need to be able to remove it without losing the other metals. In the Chalmers Battery Recycling Lab, Roquette and research leader Martina Petranova, something this whatever name. I'm a great talking head. Showed how the new method works, taking pulverized components in the form of a finely ground black powder and dissolving it in a transparent liquid, oxalic acid. Roquette produces both the powder and liquid in something reminiscent of a kitchen mixer. Although it looks easy as brewing coffee, the exact procedure is a unique scientific breakthrough By fine tuning temperature, concentration, and time, the researchers came up with a new recipe for using oxalic acid, an environmentally friendly ingredient that can be found in plants such as rhubarb and spinach. We finally found a use for spinach. I'm amazed. Let's use it. Make kale great again. Use it for this crap. Kale, we have found a source for you, and go. There we go, Eris. I will just do that. And Mass, I just did. We found a use for kale. We have found a use. Spinach will be saved. Make this work with kale, and we have found a use for kale. Everyone hates it. Let's use this for kale. Quote, we need alternatives to inorganic chemicals. One of the biggest bottlenecks in today's process is removing residual minerals like aluminum, says Martina, associate professor in the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering. So there you go. Well, fine. You and the battery people can share the kale veil hammer, but the rest of us will let you have it. You may have all of my supply. I willingly give it to you. Unless it's smothered in bacon, and just leave the kale and I'll just have the bacon. This is kind of an Indiana story, so I picked this. 30-year mystery solved. Missing man's remain among those found on suspected serial killer's estate. Alan Livingston, 27, was identified from human remains on Fox Hollow Farm in Indiana, giving his family closure after decades of searching. Good morning, Irish. I am always willing to share. My ability to share is boundless when it comes to kale. When it comes to bacon, I have no chill. Oh my gosh, I remember the flashlight that went on the wall. Okay, sorry, ADHD. Way bad. Alan Livingston's family searched for answers for more than 30 years after Livingston, then 27, disappeared in 1993. His mother always had a hunch that he had been murdered by suspected Indiana serial killer Herbert Baumeister. I am wanting to do a series with Kaiser Pineapple when we have a little bit more time about Indiana weird stuff. And this is definitely one of the guys that I want to do a topic of Indiana weird, because Herbert Baumeister is all the weird. This week, his family finally got closure. Livingston's DNA was matched to a sample from remains found on Baumeister's estate in Fox Hollow Farm, in the Hamilton County Coroner's Office said. 8 bodies were identified on the property when the case was opened in 1996, but DNA technology was not advanced enough to identify the other remains at the time. Quote, hearing about Alan was a roller coaster of feelings, said Eric Pranger, Livingston's cousin, who requested that the case be reopened last year. We're happy because we got closure and we were able to identify him, but sad because we had to relive it a bit. Investigators believe Baumeister frequented gay bars to lure men to his home, then kill him. He has been linked to the disappearance of at least 16 men since 1980. He killed himself at age 49 in July 1996, before investigators had a chance to question him, leaving families like Livingston with no answers. Pranger and said Livingston's mother lost hope of finding her son over the years because every time she would call to check on his case, there was no new information. He said Sharon Livingston always had a gut feeling that her son was at Fox Hollow Farms, a feeling Pranger called, quote, mother's intuition. When the case was reopened, she submitted a DNA sample to the coroner's office. Last year, she told NBC affiliate WTHR of Indianapolis that the search for her son had become more urgent for her because she was diagnosed with cancer. Quote, I don't have my son's remains, and until I have that, it will be unfinished for me. I hope I get them before I pass away. Sharon told WTHR last November she finally has those remains. Hamilton County Coroner Jeff Jellison called her Monday to let her know that her son had been identified. He said a leg bone from Alan Livingston was among the 44 sets of remains in the first batch his team submitted for DNA testing. Quote, "What are the odds that our first identification from a thousands of or 10,000 pieces of bone would be to that of a family making the initial call?" Jellison said. Investigators still do not know how many people will be identified. Crystal Latham, a University of Indianapolis forensic anthropologist, helped determine which sets of remains had the best chance of producing a DNA profile to submit to the state lab. When the remains were discovered in 1996, DNA technology was expensive and far more rudimentary. It required a large volume of skeletal material, and the tests were not as individualizing as they are today. Latham said her lab had been involved with the case since the initial excavation. Today's DNA technology, which uses nuclear rather than mitochondrial DNA, is much more sensitive, and it can use very small samples of skeletal materials to generate very individualized profiles. It's the increased sensitivity in the DNA technology that's really allowed for us to investigate skeletal material in a way that wasn't possible before, Latham said. She said another part of the remains that are difficult to identify, even with today's technology capabilities, mostly because they were burned or crushed before recovery. Some are as small as a fingernail. It is really heartbreaking. I mean, um, well, I think I don't know. So I don't know if she's managed to piece up together. Perhaps they've gone through, maybe they'll go through more in the story, but let's see here. She said another, okay. 4 other DNA profiles were also identified in the same batch as Livingston's, but they cannot be matched to a missing person because of a lack of reference sample from family members. Jellison, Latham, and Pranger encourage other families who had loved ones go missing from the 1980s to the mid-90s to provide samples. It'll keep your mind from wandering where your loved ones really is, Pranger said. Instead, you'll have solid proof they've been found. All the remains are being preserved in a temperature-controlled, secure evidence room at the University of Indianapolis's Anthropology and Archaeology Department, where they have been for the past 27 years. This is the first identification is important. What it's taught us is that we're doing it right, Jellison said. Now it's time to get our back to the grindstone because we know that we can produce some results. So, yeah, we definitely need to I definitely need to do a story about this because this was a giant case in Indiana. And I remember being about in elementary school, so not really understanding what this was all about, but this was a giant case in at least my neck of the woods, and not quite understanding why this guy had a bunch of guy friends. I was like, "Mom, why did okay, he wants his friends to come over. I don't understand why he would kill them after he had a bunch of guy friends over. They were playing video games, right?" At 9, I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together as such. I was just like, "Did he really not like them when he played Mario?" I was like, "That's so dumb. If you're gonna play Mario and you don't win, that's so mean to kill them." I was such a sweet summer child. Uh, in good news, a mother and daughter unite with a nurse who saved their life 30 years ago, now as coworkers. So this is a good story for our last story, and I thought we could use a good story. 30 years and a continent separated Kathleen Koth and her daughter Regina and a nurse named Allie who was visiting their home in Sierra Leone and saved her life by funding emergency surgery. Regina wasn't born on the day of that fateful meeting, technically, because Catherine was dying after 4 days in labor, unable to afford the cost or a cesarean section. That might have been the end of it if not for Allie, Hogarth Hall, then in her 20s, who was visiting the hospital from a nearby charity. She managed to acquire the 70 pounds for surgery in 1993, and formed a close bond with Catherine and her new baby Regina, but lost touch. Then, 18 months ago, as Catherine and Regina prepared to go to work aboard a charity called Mercy Ships, which operates a hospital ship on the coast of Sierra Leone, they got to see Allie, now 52, as she climbed aboard for a stint of volunteer work. Quote, "To see Catherine again is very surreal, really," said Allie, who is working in the dining room while Regina is on nursing duties. "It's not something I ever expected to see or ever expected until we made contact again 18 months ago or so. It was so overwhelming. We just sobbed. We cried and cried," Catherine quickly added. "So here's the little baby that she helped save. It's so sweet." Mercy Ships operates hospital ships that deliver free surgeries and other healthcare services to those with little access to safe medical care, and it's where she originally met Catherine all those years before. Quote, "The nurse told me that she would die and the baby would die," Allie recalls. Allie informed a colleague, a British anesthetist, Dr. Keith Thompson, who was part of her tour group, who paid for the surgery. Then the nurse came to me and explained, "Look, these strangers who came in are going to pay for your cesarean section," recalled Catherine. Whilst visiting Catherine in the hospital was easy enough, they lost touch when Allie returned home to New Zealand and Regina gained asylum in Australia. Catherine followed Regina there, and they both became nurses inspired by Allie. They stayed in Perth, Australia, but Catherine regularly returns to Sierra Leone to serve her local community, even fundraising to found her own school. The pair will spend the next month volunteering aboard Mercy Ship while the ship's crew carries out surgery and train more than 200 Sierra Leone healthcare professionals. Their bond remains strong as ever, and this time they have no plans to lose touch ever again. So, we needed a good story to end the day, and that's well, and end the week. So, I had to add a good news network because, oh my gosh, we have a bunch of bad news, but I like that we had a good news network. So, I do love that, this, young nurse saved this woman's life and her baby's life, inspired them to become nurses. They pay it forward, in their own community, and then, you know, they come and meet each other again. She sees how much that one act of kindness has just blossomed. So that's awesome. And then here is a story time because of course there's a story time. So, in case you ever get a little bit of an ego, so my youngest, most feral, was like, "So when are you getting your button?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "You're at 500,000 subscribers." And I said, "No, I'm at 500 subscribers. I'm very proud. My friends have really helped me." And he said, "What? You're not getting a button like Mr. Beast?" He's like, "That sucks." And I was like, he's like, "Can we still get a cake?" So, if you ever get a little too full of yourself, just talk to a 7-year-old and they will they will definitely make sure that you are not, too full of yourself, not too arrogant. I am super duper stoked with 500. He does. But apparently Griffin thought I was going to get my 500 bajillion subscriber button, and he was going to get to open it. So, uh, he was a little bit upset with my lack of progress. It is what it is. I had to laugh because he just looked at me like, "Wow, what are you even doing with your life?" So 7-year-olds are brutal, but, they keep you in check with your ego, and I am happy with where I am, and now we need to get, Sal and EU up to their goals so they can get monetized, and I will see you guys in a little bit for more court chaos current events and all the crime, unfortunately, sometimes, for the Boy in the Box finish up this doggone trial already in about 10:10. So I will see you guys there. We will finish up this trial. If I have to put it up to 1.5, that's what we are doing. We are finishing this doggone trial. I will see you guys in just a little bit. I'm going to get Sir Fries a lot out in the rain. I don't care what he says. I will see you in a little bit, guys. It will be all the fun and jokes as per usual.